Hey, what's going on, guys? Tom Fernandez here with another episode of Think Like a Millionaire. And today, guys, we're going to be breaking down the mindset, some important tips about your mindset, and most importantly, how are you thinking? And the reason I came up with this, I was reading an article by a gentleman named Julian Cartier. And it was a powerful article when he talks about which way is your mind thinking. Are you ego-driven? Do you have an ego-driven mindset? Or do you have an empowerment-driven mindset? And when I thought about it, I think back to situations in my life where I had a little bit of both. And I'm going to dive into, but before I do, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story that, one day I was, trying out for sports. And I remember walking into the tryouts at my high school. And I believe it was football. And I remember I started looking at the competition like, man, that guy's neat. That guy's legs are scrawny. That guy, he doesn't look like, he's short. He doesn't know what he's getting into. That guy right there. And what ended up happening is when we got out on the field to try out, man, these guys were whooping my butt. So what I realized at that point, now that I look back, is I had a wake-up call. I had an ego-driven mindset. And what happened was, I was trying to knock down my competition just because I was feeling a certain type of way. So a lot of times we do that in business, we do that in life, we do that in many situations where we're ego-driven versus empowerment-driven. So I'm going to explain a little bit of the differences so you can understand. So somebody who's ego-driven, who has an ego-driven mindset, their self-talk is driven by the need to feel superior. So like I mentioned earlier, when I walked on the tryouts for high school, I was like, man, this guy, he's small, he's short. Oh, that guy's skinny. Oh, that guy has, little legs. But, what I was doing there is I wanted to make myself feel better, make myself feel more superior. And what happens when you're doing that is you're maintaining the illusion that if you knock others down, it'll make you look stronger. For example, sometimes you see people go to the gym and, they look at other people. Oh, look at that guy, man. He has a bird chest. Oh, man, look at that guy. Or you even see women sometimes do this with another. Oh, my God, that person, the way she looks, the way her hair is. And what happens with an ego-driven mindset is you're looking to tear somebody down so you can feel better about yourself. The problem with ego-driven self-talk is it backfires. And what ends up happening is over time, as you start to throw out these negative things, as you start to judge others, as you start to have these comments, these thoughts constantly in your head, it ends up messing your self-esteem. You don't realize it over time, but what happens is you're tarnishing your self-esteem, and you're creating this environment in your brain where it's like, man, you're hurting yourself, so now you're lashing out at others. So you got to be careful with having an ego-driven mindset. It's extremely toxic, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys can point out times where you had those mentalities, or you can point out other people in your life that maybe you didn't like who were exactly like that. So what's the better option to have? Well, the better option to have is an empowering mindset. An empowering mindset basically is your self-talk, how you talk inside of your head, is centered around having supreme belief in yourself. So instead of you saying, and you're going into somewhere that says, man, I know that what my capabilities are. And what you're doing is you're empowering yourself and is rooted in the qualities that you possess and in the habits that you live by. So your self-talk is not trying to bash other people or trying to put them down, but your self-talk is centered around, okay, I know that I was made for this. I know that I was built for this. I know that I prepared constantly for this. So, here's some examples. I'll give you some examples. Everybody's got an opinion. I know who I am. That's an empowering self-talk. I was born to do this. One of my favorite ones, I'm a badass, right? That's empowering self-talk. And what happens with that is you're focusing on two things. You're focusing on, who you are, your qualities that you have, and you're focusing on some of the preparation that you took to get to where you are now. So there's two steps behind creating a self-powering mindset. The first one is you got to be aware of your inner dialogue, right? So what happens is when you're creating an empowering self-talk mindset, you have to understand that the mind takes time to get shaped. It's not going to happen overnight. So what you do is you have to understand when you're put in certain situations, what is that dialogue in your head? What are you saying? And what happens is once you start to monitor it, then you can start to create a strategy to fix it if it's broken, right? So if you start to realize that you're focusing more on an ego-driven mindset, well, when you monitor your dialogue in your head, when you're put in a specific situation, you can realize, I'm focusing more on ego-driven instead of being more empowering-driven. And then what you do is you create that strategy where you say, okay, when I notice this, I'm going to start to put in these empowering dialogue in my head so that I'm not in this toxic area. The second thing you can do is preparation. They say that preparation is the catalyst for an empowering mindset. And here's what I mean by that. You know, if you watched Michael Jordan's documentary, The Last Dance, this summer, you know, a lot of people in his interviews over and over and over again, people are like, you know, why are you so great? People ask even Michael Jordan, why, you know, how come, you know, do you fear? Are you fearful? And the number one thing he said, no, because I prepared. He over prepared. And what happens when you over prepare and you empower yourself with the skill set, what happens is your mindset starts to become confident in who you are. And this happens in business, this happens in not only in sports, this happens in life, this happens in relationships where you prepare so much that not only are you confident, but you have beliefs, empowering belief in yourself that you can do it, you can, you know, that you can handle any situation, that you believe in yourself, that you can conquer anything. And if you look at that video, you know, I recommend some of you guys YouTube that video of Michael Jordan when they ask him about fear. And you're going to see that, you know, people ask him, hey, were you fearful? And his confident answer over the many years of getting this same question was no. And the reason being is because I prepared. You know, I prepared for this situation. And even if you look at individuals like Kobe Bryant, when he talks about the Mamba mentality, his confidence, and some people call it arrogance, but his confidence was rooted in the fact that he prepared more than his competition. So if you're going to leave this video, I want you to leave it with a few things. Number one, ask yourself, what kind of mindset do I have? Is it ego-driven, where I got to tear other people down to make myself feel better? Or is it empowering, where you know that you're so confident in what you do, how you do it, the skills that you have, that you know that any situation, your mind is going to say, hey, I got this. I prepared for this. I'm ready for this. And then how, if you answer this question and you know that, you know, you're either here or you're in between where you realize you're not fully here yet, how do you prepare? So do those two things. Number one is monitor that dialogue in your head. What are you saying to yourself? And then number two, start to become whatever it is that you want to be great at, whatever it is that you want to conquer, whatever skill set, whatever career, whatever it is in life that you're like, man, I want to be the best at it. Make sure that preparation is the number one in your life, that you're constantly preparing. If you're an entrepreneur, make sure you know the scripts. Make sure that you know the phone call scripts. Make sure that, you know, you're over prepared, that you put in the prospecting work, you put in the numbers. You know, if it's sports, make sure that you're in the gym, you're on the field longer than the other competition that you have, so that you can empower yourself and empower your mindset. So I'll leave you guys with this. Ask yourself tonight, write down, you know, grab a piece of paper and take notes and sit down with yourself and say, okay, where am I? Am I here or am I here? Where is my mindset rooted? Is it more ego-driven? Do I have to tear others down in order to make myself feel better? Or am I empowering? Do I believe in myself so much that I know that, you know, in any situation I'm prepared? The qualities that I have built over the many years are going to get me to my destination. So I'm empowering mindset. So appreciate you guys for jumping on. By the way, if you guys are watching the replay of this, subscribe to my channel, Think Like a Millionaire, on YouTube. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Appreciate you guys. As always, your success is